Hello and welcome to episode 3/episode 1/restart/what's going on of the Timberborn Apocalypse Mode series. If you watched the end of the last one, you know what happened. At the very, very, very end, after I said goodbye, the last of the beavers died. There's no food left, so there's absolutely no way to continue the colony, even with the safety pods. So we're going to restart. But I'm going to keep it in the same playlist, because otherwise, you know, we're just going to keep it in the same playlist. But, you know, Iron Teeth, same map, Lemon Canyon. I love this map, and I really want it to be great. So we're going to go ahead and set our custom settings back up again. But we're not going to do 200% food consumption, because that turned out to be pretty insane. I did very briefly do a little bit of playthrough with 150, and I think that's still going to be a little bit too much. So we're going to go for 125% food and water consumption, which is still more than it was, and should still be a pretty good challenge. But a lot of you in the comments said that you liked the idea of the 100-day droughts and bad tides, and you wanted to see that, even if it meant that we had to have the food consumption turned all the way down. And we can, I think, change this later if we really want to, but we're not quite there yet. So let's go ahead and do our 100-100, change our temperate back to between 7 and 14 days, and then drought durations, of course, 30 to 100. The drought duration handicap that I had set was 10% for the first 10 cycles. And then bad tide chance, we raised it to 50. Bad tide duration was not 39, 30 to 100 days. Bad tide duration handicap I had also set to 10%, but I'd set it for 5 cycles instead of 10 or 9. Injury chance I had made 200. I'm going to keep it at 100. But building refund rate, going to still have that at 50. I think that's going to work nicely. So that's what we're working with. It's still going to be a huge endurance challenge when we get finally to that super long drought. But at least now we can actually have, you know, the beavers do a full workday without being mad that they're hungry. So we'll go ahead and load, and I'll see you on the other side of the loading screen. All right, so once again, we're at our settlement naming, and everybody did die, so it's got to be a complete restart, and that, of course, is going to make us name this Beaverburg 22. So, there we are. We got our 8 adults. We got our 4 kits. Let's hit pause. I'll show you guys around the map just very briefly again, because I wanted to highlight a couple of other things. Remember what we said about this area being all bad water, and we have underground ruins here, and then all the way over here. Well, I think it would be a fun challenge to try to get up here as fast as we can. I'm not going to do that at the expense of possibly sinking the whole playthrough, but this is going to be a very, very useful area, especially during droughts. Once we can get where is it again? Here we go. The bad water discharge is put in place, because that's going to allow us to still utilize water to get power. So at some point, we need to take care of that. Like, it's going to be a very, very, very good thing for us to do. Otherwise, we have our space here with the berries. We've got the kohlrabis that are growing and already grown. We got the mangroves. And I want to make sure that we actually have the ability to utilize our natural slopes and everything here. So before we unpause, put a couple paths in so we can still utilize all of these different stairs. See, we have a mangrove tree in the way. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to take this around this way, so we only have to get rid of that one tree when the time comes. And of course, this is blocked off here. But outside of that, I want to make sure we can utilize this here. Let's go ahead and get that situated. There is still some more building we have to do to get into this, but I wanted to make sure that we, at the very least, kind of kept this area usable. So let's go ahead. Again, some of this stuff, the trees are in the way, we'll have to do some modifications. But I think long-term, taking these 3 trees out is probably going to make the most sense. So this comes across here. And then, of course, as we get over into this area, you remember, if you watched our series with the water beavers, how much fun we were having ascending this little hill here. But should be a whole lot easier if we don't have to use those enormously long log stairs. At any rate, that's what we're working with. So, unpause. We still got the 16-hour work days. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have this area about as situated as we can get it, and make sure that we can actually, you know, start cutting some trees down. So I'm going to continue to mark, I guess for the sake of what we're doing here, I'll just mark everything so I don't have to worry about policing it later. And to make sure that we can start with some wood, nice and easy, I will go ahead and put 2 of these lumberjack flags right here so we can preserve this pathway. Then, of course, we have to have a gatherer flag for these berries, which should be pretty easy right here. And, of course, we have to start getting some water, but the first thing we need to do is start getting some wood. So those guys will take care of that. It's very nice to have the kohlrabis once again. If you watched episodes 1 and 2, which I'm assuming most of you have, it's okay to start in this one, though. I will I'll put out a community post with a link directly to this in case you want to skip the suffering from episodes 1 and 2. But if you already watched the video, it's too late. You can't unwatch it. So we're hopefully going to have a much better time here. But I really like the idea of having the 30 to 100 day droughts and bad tides. Because, well, the past couple series I played have been normal. And a whole lot of people were complaining that we hadn't done hard mode in a while. So, apocalypse mode. Even if it's technically a redo, it's a restart. It's okay to lose. You have to try again, though, and that's what we're doing here. So we do have these 2 oak trees coming down nice and smoothly here. Gonna start with a pile somewhere. I guess I could just probably go ahead and pop that guy right there. Plan around having that set up, ready to go. So that's going to work. We did, again, start with 100 food and 100 water. That's why we have 103 berries and not like 90 or whatever it is. Pretty soon we're going to want to get farming going. I am going to want to come across this way just as soon as we have the science. So for right now, let's see. Am I going to be able to fit something here? Or is it? No, it's not going to want to play nice with me. I can put this here, but it's going to block my straight path, and I don't think I want to do that. So we'll just preemptively run that through there and see if there's another spot, which it looks like right here is going to work. So that'll work. These pine trees will get cut down at some point soon-ish, but that will come in due time. Can this guy reach? Okay, only a couple of these. But that's okay. The berries are going to be more important anyway, and we know for a fact that it's going to be at least three full cycles without a bad tide. At which point, the mangrove trees will probably die immediately, because there's no chance we're going to be able to divert them anytime soon. So once those die, we can cut them down. That's 2 logs. I saw at least a couple people leave that comment in episodes 1 and 2. So that, rest assured, is going to be what we're going to be working toward. Of course, we need to have storage, but since it's 125%, it's not as mission critical as it was when it was 200%. Like, they're still going to get a lot hungrier than they were before, but it's not going to make it impossible for us to actually play the game, which was something that a lot of you said was a little frustrating to watch. And I agree. I'd much rather play the game and have it, actually be possible to enjoy watching versus, oh, this is just really, really hard for no reason. Which, hey, while that's fun, it's not that fun. So we'll go ahead and put a pantry in here. That's going to be very, very, very good early game stuff. Like we were trying to do before, but we, didn't have really anything to put in there because stuff had just gone so poorly for so long. Farmhouse, right about here is probably fine. Just go ahead and get that set up. They can start harvesting these kohlrabis, and then we can start planting them too. We're definitely going to want to take care of that. And there's some room over here. Obviously, we can't actually plant anything in the water. But if we put another farmhouse on this side, once we continue growing, things should be okay. So triple speed through the night here. Get this as set up as we possibly can. And hopefully make some good progress here. Yeah, I am going to go ahead and put in just a couple of these water tanks so we can start storing that. As a reminder, the 10% drought duration handicap means that it's going to be 10% of the range of values to start with, which will be from 30 to 100 days down to 3 to 10 days. So it is still very possible we could have early on a 10-day drought, which is longer than the normal difficulty, longest drought. Just so we're all on the same page. That looks like some nice progress is being made in terms of harvesting some kohlrabis. Still nothing in here quite yet. I think that's probably going to have to wait until we have haulers, but making nice progress anyway. I'm going to keep this path going more or less as much as I can. But now that we have the farmhouse, it's going to be up to us to continue planting and growing some crops. So that's going to be very important to have some kohlrabis. And then, of course, we want to start growing cassavas as well. Just because those have to be processed doesn't mean we can't grow them. It just means it's not going to be the most important thing that we do. All that being said, we probably don't want to invest in making water wheels just because the droughts are going to be so long until we have access to the bad water areas. So we have the Wheel of Shame, the Wheel of Punishment, the Wheel of Suffering, whatever you want to call it. It does have to be manually operated, but it makes 300 HP, which is fantastic, fantastic early game power. And once we start actually growing additional beavers, then I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. So 2 breeding pods, just right here, nice and easy. We can take care of all of that, start planting some more cassavas here as well. And we're going to have to figure out a place to put our suffering / production. And I think before I have the ability to build the platforms, probably don't want to get too far away. And again, it's not necessary right now for us to have power because we don't need to start planting trees yet. We have a lot of wood. We did this the first time too that I didn't have inventors going, but I think it's going to be a mistake if we don't have at least something ready to go. So I'm going to put an inventor right here. Have it set to the absolute minimum priority workplace, but if there's an extra beaver, they can start making some science for us. All right, and cassavas here again. We can grow them. We don't have to use them, but we're going to want them sooner rather than later, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're making the beavers. We got water. We need to have more water storage. And of course, to have, you know, the planks and the gears, we have to have actual industry, but given the length of the drought situation, I think it's probably going to be more important for us to actually have places to put the water. Plus, it gives us something to do with all this wood we're cutting. Alright, so it's day 5, and we have a drought coming in 3 days, so that does mean that we rolled an 8-day normal cycle here. Remember, it's 7 to 14 days, so we could have gotten it at the start of day 4 as well. So I'm going to take this off at triple speed. If we have 3 days left, we have all this wood. I think we're going to want to go ahead and make a push to build a dam over here. And this should be our priority. I don't think there's any other buildings going up right now. But I'm going to go ahead and have these other 2 beavers working as builders. I think it's going to be possible to get this done. We're just going to have to make sure that the guys in the lumberjack flags are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Everything is marked for cutting pretty much that they can reach, so that's going to be a-okay. We just want to make sure that they start building the dam because, remember, we have a big valley here, but this is going to be bone dry inside of, what, half a day from when the drought starts? And this is slightly different from how the main one was, the main map was that we used for the water beavers. Because in that, this was a lot deeper. This was a lot deeper. Like 3 or 4 blocks. So this one is higher now, which means we have a waterfall here, a double here, another one here, one here, before we get to this area. So, well, I guess that would be 5 or 6 even. This was just incredibly deep. It was so much deeper. So when we dam this up, it's going to still store a lot of water, but it's not going to be nearly as much as it could have been before we had that taken care of. Then obviously we have this area up here we could easily turn into a artificial lake as soon as we just fill this up. Thankfully, vanilla game, We have levees. We don't have to build these giant houses everywhere that are also dams. So that's going to be a little bit easier. It's not hopeless to survive the 100-day drought. But the main problem is going to be when you get those bad tides coming in, because this is going to be ugly really, really quick. So it's going to be on us to try and divert it, which probably is going to end up being about the same strategy we used before. It's just going to have to be, you know, something that's going to take a little bit of time. Because remember, explosives factories in the vanilla game use bad water, and they require all these different things to get built. And if you want the triple and the double dynamite, you have to have extract, which of course has to come from the centrifuge once you have everything else researched. So, like, I don't think we're going to get diversions done to the degree that I think we want them for a long time. Probably not until the cycles get super, super, super long. We'll go ahead and get that triple speed through the night here on day 5. We already have one piece done. This one's a little over halfway there, so I think we stand a pretty decent chance. Just got to make sure we can do what we're going to do. Not really much in the way of storage there, huh? We got 16 science, so that's looking okay. Haven't built any housing yet for the beavers, and I'm not going to worry about it because, well, we're not having to worry about all of the 200% hunger and thirst nonsense. So the well-being isn't going to be that big of an issue. They're just going to consume a little bit more food and water, and they're not going to be whiny babies at, 2 in the afternoon because they're hungry. And lovely, lovely farmer hats going on. I love the visuals in this game. Grabbing the kohlrabis out of the ground. Cassavas are still going to be a little bit more time. But we do have the storage for, 50 of them in here, and then of course the pantry can hold some as well. Once that gets going, we're going to want to have a storage for the kohlrabis probably before too long. But I think it's going to be more important for us to actually, grow the crops instead of worrying about where to stick them. Because I don't have the science for stairs or anything yet, so I can't do the little stacking warehouse farmhouse trick that a lot of people seem to really like. Hey, the dam's done. Nice. So this last day before the drought, we don't really have to worry about it in terms of having enough water stored up, but we are going to want to go ahead and come out of the triple speed and think about what's going to be next year. Because remember, we want to get across here because this is very easy access to metal. Very easy access to metal. So that's great for the early game, but we still have to process it, right? So this, of course, is going to require gears and planks, and then also 300 science and also power. But that 200 HP is easily handled with the Wheel of Suffering, which gives out 300 if you have 4 beavers working it. So we can have water. We can have metal pretty early. We're just going to have to be focused. And again, this is why I didn't want to use the compact water wheel as the first power generation thing, because this, you don't have to have water to do it. You just have to have beavers. And if we don't have beavers, then we've already lost. But we have beavers, so we haven't lost yet. Alright, so those guys about, I don't know, 60% of the way through. That's looking good. See, I hesitate to get rid of these berry bushes just because we're so early, but we're really going to need to be able to get through here at some point sooner or later. It's not quite dire yet, but we're going to be getting there before too much longer. So the lumberjack flag, I'm going to go ahead and move that guy up here. And yeah, there's still nothing in here, so let's get rid of all this stuff. It's right in the center of town. At least for right now, I think it's going to make the most sense for us to put in a storage for the kohlrabis, which will be... I can't ever find these things. They're there. Just so we can keep picking them up out of the field as they continue growing. These trees have been cut down, so I can put in another deep water pump. And make this nice and compact, put a third one in there. We will want to, on the other side of this drought, pump as much as possible. I haven't done the math on exactly what the consumption will be at 125%, but I can only assume it's going to be more, because that's how math works. So we're not going to need to be as, shall we say, paranoid about it as we were in the first 2 episodes of this series. But it's still going to be a concern, so that's why we're having them build this. Even if it's not going to be the most important thing we do, it's going to be something we definitely have to keep an eye on and make sure that we're doing our best on. So, kohlrabi's coming in, that's going to be fine. These guys, probably day 8, end of day 8, early day 9. Get these beavers coming out here. And we do have the science slowly trickling in, which is good. Because probably one of the first things we need to do, obviously, is to, well, research-wise, I'm going to say it's probably going to be the stairs or a platform. Even though we have the forester, there's so many trees right now, we don't need to plant any more. Unless we're trying to make an oak farm, which, we probably should. But keep in mind, the iron teeth, to have the protection from the bad water, have to use the irrigation barriers, which require the treated planks, which we can't make yet, and can't for a long time, most likely. So that's going to be... I'd probably hesitate to invest too much into super long-term growables like the oak trees until we have that in place, or we have, with the help of explosives, our own irrigation areas. There's nothing in the vanilla game, well, unless you get mods for it, that will have some sort of repelling contamination thing like the water beavers have. So gotta keep that in mind. Yeah, see, now the beavers are getting thirsty right around the end of the workday, but that's okay because we've got water on hand. We got these guys ready to go. Gonna take them out of... Hey, we didn't rename the district center. Let's do that. Beaverburg 22. Alright, good deal. So, we have this ready to go. Let's see what happens. How long this drought is going to be. Remember, it can be anywhere from 3 to 10 days on that first one, if I've done my mental math correctly, which we all know is not necessarily guaranteed. And 9 days. 9 days right off the bat. Come out of triple speed. So here's what that means is 9 days. And remember, base consumption, 2 per day, food and water, means our 12 beavers every day would be consuming 24 each. Which obviously is going to be a little bit more than that. So I conservatively would estimate that we have, in terms of water, about 3 days supply. And it's a 9-day drought. So we gotta be pumping, folks. That's why I built these 3, and that's why they're still going. It's most important that we have water. The food will last, we remember from the last time, about a day and a half, 2 days, sometimes 3. Well, it's dried out, so that's going to be fine. So what we have is we have all the water here, then all the water that comes up to this spot right here. Somebody left a comment saying that they were worried about our little drain thing here, because this is a -1 water source. I showed you in episode 1. I don't need to necessarily do it again in dev mode, but that sucks water up, and it cannot reach the water here. I know that was a concern. Eventually, we probably are going to want to blast this out, because this is a source up here that is going to bring water down into this area, then through here. But it does not connect. There is no connection here, so you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be fine. All that being said, we have all of these mangrove trees that we're not harvesting because I moved this gather... Well, I didn't move it. I just put the gather flag kind of in the middle of nowhere. So, in order to take advantage of what we're looking at here, I'm going to move the gather flag to this tile, which is going to give us all of these mangroves and still keep all the berries. And then this will go away, so we can put something else there. So we're about halfway through day 8. The working hours, at least, and the breeding pods are a little bit closer. I'm pretty sure, like, right before day 9, we should get the 2 beavers out of this. So we got beavers working. We have 3 who are not working. So we need to put them on doing something else. We don't really have any more room for logs because I got the 20 here. I got 20 in this thing. So we probably should continue building stuff. This would be a great place once we have, you know, guaranteed no bad water nonsense, which I guess in this this difficulty might not ever happen. So I was gonna say this would be a good farm area, but till we get stuff taken care of, not necessarily. Nowhere is gonna be a good farm area. We should focus on making our own irrigation stations over here, which of course we can technically do with levees. Is just gonna really suck. The better thing to do is with the dynamite, but that's locked behind a bunch of stuff. So remember, metal's important. It's very, very, very important. We just can't really quite get over there yet, because so much stuff is just blocking in the way. But the farmers can keep farming. They can do their thing for the next little while at the very least. Get those kohlrabies in there. We do have some cassava, which means we can do some fermentation, because the cassavas, of course, don't require the oil. That requires power, which brings us back to the Wheel of Suffering. Where are we going to put the Wheel of Suffering, you might ask? Well, if we're going to be overly concerned about farming, I probably shouldn't put it here, but remember that our colony is still really small, so we're not that hard up for space. And we can always move stuff, but also remember, there's a whole lot of remembering going on. The deconstruction penalty on this is 50%. It's not 25% penalty anymore. You don't keep 75% of your materials. You only keep 50. This is 100 logs. So in theory, wherever I build this, I should be pretty confident that I'm not going to have to move it until it's not going to be a problem to lose those 50 logs. This is why this starts to get a little bit challenging. So what I'm going to do, first of all, which, yeah, that's not going to be done anytime soon. We'll go ahead and forge a path through here. We have all these trees we can keep cutting down. And I'm going to focus on this unirrigated area up here. Try to just put something, anything up here that we can actually make good use of. So if I put this, say, right here, we got these trees that are going to get cut down eventually. See, look how quickly that goes. Nice. So they'll come in there with a large power wheel, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a fermenter. And then we will, of course, have to remove these berry bushes. I was hoping they would pull the berries out of there, but since I don't have any storage for berries right now, I might as well just turn this into berry storage itself so we can keep picking them, because we are going to need those. It's just going to be one of those things we have to take our time doing. Triple speed back again. Get these guys ready to go. Also, we should, probably build them houses at some point, but they're going to be okay just sleeping on the ground for a while, It's just one of those kind of deals. The reason I haven't hired those two guys into the district center for builders yet is because we're going to need somebody to work here and somebody to work here. It all just takes time. So let's actually prioritize removing those two, just so we can be sure everything's going to be fine. You get those berries moved in there. Make it happen, folks. Yeah, 52 logs. Still looking pretty good on water. But we got 7 days left, and our storage is currently full, and this amount of water should last us. But I also don't need the extra beavers, so it's probably fine. Probably fine. I've got 13 cassava. Reminder that the recipe is for 4. It's not going to show it because the building's not built yet. But 4 cassava can turn into 10 fermented cassava. So that's very good news. We have this growing. Can get brought out again. We've got some berries getting stored here. Looking very good. And pretty soon, Slimy Amphibian here is going to get these berries out. And we can remove this guilt-free. Just got to get all these trees cut down, so you know what that means. It's time to bring in the additional lumberjacks. Put these other beavers to work. We can always remove these because they don't have a building cost and not feel bad about it. Yeah, see, there you go. These aren't ever going to grow back. And the pine resin isn't really that big of a concern, again, because we have so much in the way of wood and trees everywhere. Ah, see, here's that minus minus on the well-being because we have the -3 for shelter, and we have a couple hungry, thirsty beavers. But they got stuff to eat, they got stuff to drink. We are going to be in A-OK shape. Going to do whatever we can to make sure that this playthrough survives. That one should get taken care of as well. Yeah, so now we just find ourselves in the position of trying to figure out exactly what our best strategy for securing all of this before the first bad tide comes in will be. And I still think it's going to be that irrigation stations that we always like to build, but we got to get across the river first, and I'm not going to cheese it. Not going to cheese it with the warehouses, even though I know there's going to be a couple of people say, you know, you can build these across the river, right? It was like, well, of course, but that's not the spirit of the game. Wouldn't make me feel good if I won that way. Alright, this, yep, easy done. Get that thing out of here. Get this all situated. In terms of pumping dry, we probably have a good 3 days worth of pumping here. So I think I'm going to have to go ahead. I'm going to pause those two. That way we can have beavers actually work here doing some fermenting. I've got 17 of these, which is going to be good for 40 fermented cassavas, because remember it's 4 into 10. We can keep dragging this stuff out. We should be in some pretty good spots. And we can also start making planks with the industrial lumber mill just as soon as some of these other trees are gone away. Yeah, see, look at this. Look at this. Large power wheel. We got 78 HP. This is only consuming 50. And even though we aren't really growing anything else, well, we aren't growing anything else, I could put a second fermenter here pretty easily. I don't think we really need it right now, but we're going to want it at some point, I'll tell you that much. Medium tank's going to require gears as well, so I think it's going to be time pretty soon here. We have so many trees, I'm not going to feel bad about getting rid of this. Put that industrial lumber mill in, start making some planks, and then think about, oh, hey, there we go. Record well-being of 3. Oh, 4, I'm sorry, excuse me. So now I've got 80. I can do a platform for 100, or I can do the stairs for 70. Which, of course, these require the planks. I'm pretty sure, again, we don't need to worry about the forester quite yet, because even if these trees die from bad water, they will still be able to be cut down, and we'll have plenty of wood for a colony of this size. I think we're going to want to wait for 100 science to get the platforms and then go across the river this way. We could also, you know, do a dam. Might actually be a smart thing to do if we're going to be pumping this thing dry the whole time. But remember, when the bad water comes, we're not going to want the dams here. We're going to want those completely gone. So I'd rather not get into that if I can at all help it. We'll see what happens. There's nothing for this guy to ferment, so away you go into the lumber mill. Make us some planks. Feed and water those hungry, thirsty beavers. Cut the trees down and continue expanding our industrial domain as small as it may be. I think we're going to be in some pretty good spots here. Now, the other thing that we can do, even if we can't make the medium tanks, we can just spam a whole bunch of these small ones. Because, friends, we're going to need it. We are absolutely going to need it. And in fact, I don't know why I opened wood for that. We're going to want to have as much pumping capacity as possible because there's going to come a point in time where it's going to be all hands, paws, whatever beaver mess on deck when it comes to pumping, because it's going to be rough, folks. So let's pause that. As soon as these other ones get built, we'll just pause them as emergency pumping capacity. Because, you know, you're staring down the barrel of a 100-day drought. You're going to want to make sure that everybody can be pumping. Is it overkill right now? Yes. But we're not going to be crying about it when the time comes to use them. Always be prepared. Rule number 1. Yeah, see, this water's about to all be pumped out anyhow. Yeah, so that's another day and a half. That's fine. We're still doing okay. Alright, come on, finish this. There we go. That's paused. Just keep that one going. We've got plank storage is already full. I only have 80 science still. So I think we're going to have a storage for planks, which I, right here I might as well, since that's an empty space, make that plank storage. I've got this log storage. Going to want to start amassing those. To get across the river, I'm going to need 12. I have 13 currently. That's fine. The forester needs 7, which we haven't researched it yet because I'm not willing to commit to growing trees when our first bad tide could very well be in 2 more cycles. And the oak trees are not really going to be viable. Pines would be. Pines would definitely be viable. It's just a question of if we want to play that game. Well, okay, well, you know what? They take 12 days to grow. So if we started at the beginning of cycle 2, it's entirely possible we could have a full forest of pines grown by the time the drought comes around for cycle 2, and then even if they die, well, it wouldn't matter if they die because we're gonna. You know what? Stop yapping and play the game already. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's fine. Don't worry about it. This right here. That, yeah, you know what? That's going to be a fine place to go because this will still reach, because of the thing here, this will still reach to plant all these trees. Yeah, you know what? That was a smart thing, and I really should have done it right off the bat. Oh well, life goes on. Put a tooth grindstone in here because, of course, we will. I'm not willing to do the oaks just because, it's not going to go well. Will also let us plant additional mangrove trees. Yeah. Even if they only give us, 1 or 2 cycles worth of mangrove fruits, and by cycles I mean growth cycles, not cycles. It's going to be a good thing that we have them when we want them, so that's fine. Put that there. How far is this going to go there? Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We're cooking here, folks. Somewhere in the comments there is someone probably leaving a comment saying, well, I can't believe you didn't build a forester. It's okay. It's okay. We're here to learn. Sometimes I don't learn anyway, but we'll go ahead and get these mangrove trees out of here so we can get this all connected over here as well. And then on land, I'm definitely not growing the oaks because there's a very good chance those won't survive. But the pine trees take 12 days. And you know what? That is going to be just fine with me. That'll come all the way over to this square. This guy, I'll tell you what, this guy's going to be busy. Whoever ends up working in the forester. Busy. That hopefully should be enough. Alright, so we're making the planks. We got the storage for the planks. I know it's super far away. That's not ideal, but I put it here so we could build our platforms. That's going to be fine. Food is starting to trickle in a little bit better. We've got a very full, well, halfway, if you count that as very full, berry storage. Gonna go ahead and build us a couple more medium warehouses here for other types of foods. Nope, that is not the tab key. There we go. I don't know why I was looking for carrots. Don't look at me like that. It's gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. I promise I know what I'm doing, mostly. We can go ahead and ferment some more cassavas, even though nobody's working in there. Go ahead and pause the industrial lumber mill. That should be fine. I know it's the end of the day anyway, so triple speed away. Now we got 15 beavers. They don't have anywhere to live yet, but that's fine. We're going to fix that nice and good. It's just going to take some time. Alright, so the last day of the drought. No more cassavas to ferment. Well, that means pause it and get on in here. Get stuff planted. That's still in range there. I've got some kohlrabis we can harvest. And the pine trees are growing up, spreading. We got berries over here. This is so much better than the last time, folks. Oh man, I can't believe I let myself do the 200%. I genuinely think we could have had a pretty good run if I hadn't done that. And I was thinking about changing it in the whatever the game editor thing was, but when that last beaver died, it was over. There's no chance to come back from that. So, you know how it goes. Hey, we just ran out of water. Perfect timing. Absolutely perfect timing. So I'm going to set this guy to harvest only. Obviously, he can't plant any trees if there's no water to plant the mangroves in and the ground's not irrigated. But it's now the beginning of cycle 2. So that's going to work out splendidly well. We'll get everything rewatered. We're not out of food. We're just out of the food that we made. We're not out of water. And we got a forester in. We've got some storage for food that we're still attempting to grow. And I guess technically we have the beginnings of industry. And as soon as I get that science, I'm putting in some platforms here. But it's already so much better of a start than the last time. And, you know, it's only been about 41 minutes. So we've got some time to do a little bit more today. Hopefully get ourselves in a much better spot before it's time to say goodbye. But I'm very glad we have 7 pumps, even though we don't need them right now. There will come a time when we will need them, and we'll be very glad that we have them. So, do I want to put in another inventor? I think the answer to that question probably has to be yes. We really, really should have some extra science capacity when the time comes. So that's going to be nice. There, I've got cassavas we can ferment. So we'll go ahead and just set that back regularly. Notice how we don't have 3 farmhouses this time? And how nice it is, because we can actually send the beavers to work on other stuff. Yeah, I like that too. We're going to get 2 more beavers pretty soon, and we had somebody die of old age. Somebody already died of old age. And that's it. That's only 2 deaths. So we're doing a whole lot better. We're doing a lot better. We also can unlock the gear workshop with 100 science, but I do think the platform is going to be more important because we can start getting metal even if we can't use it yet. We have access to other stuff over here as well, like a bunch more trees and more space for growing stuff. That's always going to be good. But yes, for right now, we really should probably be putting in some more of these water storages. So you know we're going to need them. Going to be very glad that we had this when we get around to it. And I still don't have enough beavers to run everything all the time. I can pause both of those things. Now I've got, hopefully, well, I was hoping I could have another inventor beaver. But other stuff is still very important to get done. I don't think I need to have 3 of these lumberjacks anymore. So all these trees are almost gone. I'll tell you what, we'll pause that. See if that gets the other inventor going. And it should, yep. Now the water situation, I want to have the science more than I want the water right now. Because, you know, we can always get the water. Just have to be able to do what we're supposed to be doing here. That's connected, which is a very good start at getting over here. We're going to want to have this be arable land very, very soon. But we have to have access to stairs. We have to have access to dynamite. So I think our first our first bad water is going to have to come from the first bad tide. Unless we somehow have the ability to get all the way over here. Probably going to be waiting a little bit on that because, you know, it's a little bit of a trek. It would be easier for us to get down here, but still, keep in mind, it's all the way down here. Also, do take note, the natural overhangs are really looking good. There's a whole bunch of them back here, too. I know I talked about it last time we were working on stuff, but now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Probably should have another farmhouse, but I was going to put that over here. Berries are starting to become less and less of a problem, so let's get rid of the berries on this side entirely, at least the ones in range here. Don't need to have the stumps pulled out because that doesn't matter. That tree we don't need to get rid of. But all those things we definitely do. Yeah, because once we can start growing some more actual crops here, we're going to be in really, really good shape. And these guys have tons of reach. They just probably are going to need some additional help. So hopefully that's going to work out nicely for us. I'll leave this going over here. I guess I could just have that be partially set up. We got farmhouse. Probably for right now makes sense to put that here. And I'm going to grow more cassava. Remember that the soybeans, well, not the corn, the soybeans and the eggplant are going to require canola oil to actually process and other buildings. Well, the soybean doesn't. So cassava is going to be our best friend until we actually have the resources to put in everything else. It's going to be a whole lot more easily manageable. So hopefully that ends up working out. We got 73%, you know, drought come in again. Yeah, we're definitely rolling the short cycles here. For now, at least. Just getting a whole bunch of cassava while we can. That's our motto. Do what you can, when you can, with what you got. So it might seem kind of dumb to you to do it this way, but we're going to be glad we have all this cassava when the time comes to need it. So put that fermenter on and get our water storage as good as we can. I know I have 100 science, which I'm going to go ahead and use to unlock the platforms. Get this stuff built. And we have access to all this space over here. And then the next 100 science, I think, is going to have to go into making a gear workshop. So we definitely are going to need it. And now most of the trees over here haven't been cut. Go ahead and get this situated as cuttable. That's good there. Remember that we don't have any lumberjacks on this side, so we're going to have to put one in. This actually would not be a terrible place to put one. So I'll do that. We're not going to need him right now. Well, I guess I could employ him there. But this guy can be gone, that guy can be gone. We can leave the one here. That's fine. Making all this stuff work. We're doing so much better. So much better. Unbelievable amounts of better. Trying to get as much water pumped as I can before things get too crazy here. I think we can leave this completely cut off. That should be fine. There we go. We will replace all of these with the medium tanks. Don't worry. I just need to have the raw capacity. That's just what this boils down to. Although I'm very interested to see how long this next drought's going to be. Very, very interested. Alright, so this guy... Oh, he doesn't have any power, because of course he doesn't. I didn't have anybody in the power wheel. Now I don't have enough beavers because we're doing all this stuff. But there's no more building, so I'm going to deprioritize that. Got one beaver here, got one beaver here. Now we can ferment all of our cassavas. And I have to have storage. Well, I do have storage for fermented cassava, so that's fine. Kohlrabies as well, but we're not really pulling those out of the ground quite yet. But both of our farmhouses can reach just about all of the rest of the farmhouses. We have the all-important bridge across here, so that's going to be very, very good. But we're not really hurting for logs yet, even though we have tons over here that we can actually use. The planting hasn't quite taken over here. I think there's a whole lot of mangroves that got put in the water. So how long is our drought going to be? How bad are we messed up here? 7 days. All right, fine. Easy mode. Well, apocalypse mode in easy mode version. It's going to be bad, folks. It's going to be getting really, really bad probably starting episode 3 or 4. But it feels so great that we can actually play the game instead of trying to figure out, well, how long can I have them work before they stop working because they don't have enough food? Like, no. No. We have a fighting chance now. It's only going to get worse from here, but we can at least get through the first couple cycles without things being completely insane. And that helps a lot. Look at all the food. We got water. We're looking great, folks. Looking good. I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 more breeding pods. Remember the insurance theory that I had? Or that you guys gave to me, I guess. We might not want to have 4 breeding pods going right now. But if we have them locked and ready to go, if we ever need emergency beavers, then we're going to have them. And that's going to be helpful. As long as we have food available. Because if there's no food, then obviously they can't work jobs to get themselves food. So, there's other stuff we can do with that too. Like, having food storage that's disconnected from a path. That can be emergency release food. If you have to restart with the little baby beavers. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But it very, very well could. Very well could. I'm going to go ahead and pause 2 of these water pumps. 1, because I don't want to pump all the water out of here. And 2, because we have other jobs we want those beavers to be doing. Like, for example, inventing. And taking care of other stuff. Fermenting. Why are we... Okay, we got some hungry beavers. Well, it's almost the end of the workday. And they are at 125% hunger and thirst. So, that's working out pretty well. Pretty well. We're getting our cassavas coming in that we just planted, so that's nice. The fermenting is honestly probably at a spot where it can start having a second fermenter going. That's going to have a capacity on a 16-hour workday of 32 raw cassavas processed a day. If we're pulling more than that out of the ground, then that's going to be a problem. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We're probably going to have some of these guys taken out. Probably. And remember, demolishing stuff has a cost. So, you're going to want to be careful about it. You want to be careful. Should be having some more babies pretty soon here. Those are lagging behind. Maybe 4 at the start of the game is not going to be such a bad thing. So look at all this. Look at all this we got. That is a lot of cassava. Still only 41 science, though. I'm really, really hoping by the end of this episode we can have the gear workshop going. Hopefully. See what happens. Now, all of these... Okay, most of them are planted. We're not going to be having too much more water here if we're pumping like this. You can see the level just almost imperceptibly going down. 300 something. You know what? I'm just going to pause all of these. We can't forget that they're paused. I know I have these buttons, but they scare me. I'll tell you what we can do. We can definitely have this set to pause when a bad tide starts. That's for sure. And then I guess I can have this one always set to unpause when a temperate starts. Because we always want to have at least one in case we're, a little bit stupid. But for right now, I think we're looking pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I know this is prime land for planting, kind of, in the same distance here, but... maybe I don't want to build that there. I got land up here I'm not going to be able to do anything with. So maybe... No, because I was going to put something else here. No, decisions. Well, that's a stupid, ugly place for that to go. Maybe that's going to make sense. Just get me to 100 science. Get me to 100 science. I got plenty of stuff to do. Oh, also... Oh, it's already all the way down? Okay, well, that's fine. That works. Process those cassavas, because we got them coming out of the ground something fierce. That's going to be 50-50, so I really should have more than one beaver on this. Let's bring that in. It'll take it up to 150 HP, assuming the well-being scores haven't really modified the power output too much. We'll see what happens. We will certainly see what happens. How are we looking on water? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're going to be fine. Going to be just fine. Alright, come on, science. Come on, science. Okay, nobody's in there because I told them not to be in there. I guess that's fair, but I do have 2. Is there anyone else I can take out of a job? Probably not. So that's putting on 157. I only need 100, but it is good to have this at full speed. We are probably outpacing the farms in terms of harvesting and replanting. But I guess that's probably okay. Okay, so these definitely need to be deprioritized lumberjack flags. So that way we can have... Oh, never mind. Because these are double deprioritized. Alright. There we go. Well, that's going to allow them to get to work anyway. Come on, science. Come on, science. I got 1 day left. I'm going to end the episode after the end of Cycle 2. I can promise you that. But I want to see if we can get to 100. Come on. Come on. I got 3 of you guys. Oh, never mind. There we go. Now I got 3 of you guys in here. Make me my science, please, and thank you. Come on. Come on. 97. 98. 99. 100. There we go, folks. And in she goes. Gear Workshop there. Next goal, of course, is going to be the medium tank, but that's not happening today. That's going to have to be the next episode when this comes out on Tuesday, I think? Yeah. It's so exciting when this actually works. And it's still early game, so it still feels like, oh, yeah, we're doing great. It's not going to last that long, folks. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely horrible, probably by about cycle 6 or 7 when those bad tides really start getting it. But for now, it's hopeful. So, all that being said, end of Cycle 2, waiting for the last hours of the overnight. Thank you so much for sticking with this series, even though we failed in Episode 2. But your support is what makes it possible to keep doing this stuff, so you are directly responsible for all the nonsense. And if you're a beard booster, then you're funding it, which I'm very thankful for. But you're also culpable for all this nonsense that we're doing here. But seriously, all joking aside, thank you very much for supporting me, supporting the channel, and making it possible to continue doing all this fun stuff. Because I really like the Beaver game. You guys too, apparently, if the analytics are anything to go by. It's just really fun to get to do this, and I'm very thankful that I get to do this. I think I said in one of the other videos I was spending about 20-30 hours a week, which is part-time job time. So I put aside a bunch of other stuff in my life so I can do this. And don't worry, I'm not ignoring people or whatever, but I have said no to a lot of other potential opportunities because you guys have supported the channel to the point where I can consider it to be, quote-unquote, one of my primary jobs, which is awesome. So I'm very thankful that you're here. Again, Cycle 3 begins, and this episode ends. We survived 2 cycles without the nonsense of the beavers getting hungry at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and, leaving work because they wanted to go have a snack and have a nap. But I will see you back again in episode, well, I guess I'm probably just going to keep the same episode numbers. Episode 4, but the second episode of this thing, because this is episode 3, but it's episode 1, but it's like episode 1.5. Numbers are hard, okay? But you clicked on the video, so it doesn't really matter, because you're probably going to be back anyway, right? That's how this works. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I'm glad we didn't die this time. Never give up. Always go back and try to do stuff, because you're going to surprise yourself with what you can accomplish. And you guys make it possible. We'll see you next time. Whatever it is you're doing, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.